Hello world is a song that we're singing. Come on, get happy. A whole lot of love.
Welcome to the Pop Culture Preservation Society, the podcast for people born in the big wheel generation who still have a blister between their toes from their rubber flip-flops. I mean, thongs. Thongs.
We believe our Gen X childhoods gave us unforgettable songs, stories, characters, and images. And if we don't talk about them, they'll disappear, like Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition.
And today, we'll be saving those tried and true traditions that signal the end of the school year and the start of summer vacation. I'm Carolyn.
I'm Kristin.
And I'm Michelle. And we are your pop culture preservationists.
School's out for
summer. Welcome, everyone, to season 16. Woo! Insert confetti cannon and applause here. You guys, the PCPS can drive. We can drive.
I got my permit.
No, we're fully licensed drivers now. Yes. I know. I'm honestly frightened by how fast these seasons fly by. I don't know about you guys, but fly by. I love it and I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. I know. Anyway. It's time, just in general, it flies by these days, don't you think?
I know.
Everything goes faster now.
Hey, DM. Well, besides all the great episodes coming your way, and listeners, if you missed last week's episode, we gave you the rundown of this upcoming season. And besides that, as well as exciting stuff we're in the process of planning for the podcast, stay tuned. There's some other fun things that are going on for us individually. Right, Carolyn?
Yes. Speaking of planning, you guys, I'm going to be a mother of the bride.
That gave me goosebumps right now on my kneecaps.
Gosh, you guys, I was just a bride yesterday, so this is really hard for me, but fun. Mm-hmm. I'm so excited. So yes, so Maggie is engaged, and we're just starting those plans, and not sure of what is going to unfold, but I know it's going to be glorious and fun, and I'm looking forward to it. And so any of our listeners who have gone down this road already, any helpful hints are much appreciated. You can reach out and let me know the do's and don'ts, especially the don'ts, because I don't want to do any of the don'ts.
Yeah, right. You know what? Maggie should feel good about the music, because I messaged her a couple days after she got engaged and said, hey, no worries, the PCPS, we are on the playlist for the reception, so just don't even worry about that. Yes. I'm sure she was so appreciative. I'm sure she was like, oh,
right.
I know she was. Well, you guys, haven't you seen probably on TikTok or something those viral videos of dances at wedding receptions, like the mother and the son, but there are also sometimes where the mom and maybe some of her friends come out and do a little.
I'll do it. Okay,
ABBA.
Okay, I will.
All right, let's do ABBA. And we're going to dress. We'll go back real quick and we'll change into like polyester pantsuits. Yeah. And we'll come out and we'll do a whole ABBA thing.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Notice she didn't really actually ask. We're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. She just said friends. She's Kristin. She was just like,
that's right.
I'm friends. And you and I are.
You know what?
I already was thinking of like this great thrift store a couple miles from my house. Oh, I can totally find my outfit there.
Well, I'm going to have auditions. I think I'm going to have auditions.
Oh, it's okay. Well, I can do that. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. Yes. Mm-hmm.
We have already won the audition. If you're having auditions,
I'm not worried about that. Does not scare me at all.
Not at all. Also, Kristin, we just need to organize a time to get together and
do a choreo
audition. Yeah, our choreo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There you go. So
I know this is a joke, but I'm like very excited. Like, oh my God, what if this actually happened? Oh, okay.
You never know.
Mm-hmm.
It just
right now, Maggie's listening, and Maggie just has decided to elope.
The phone rings. Suddenly, Carolyn's phone rings.
Yeah, remember, Mom, when you said you'd just write me a check and I could go alone? I think I'm going to go do that.
Can we go back to that? Why don't, Mom, you just have a party with your friends? Why do you have to involve me?
Yeah,
really. I remind her of that too. I'm like, yeah, it is about you, but it's kind of also about me. It is a time for me to get to invite my friends.
Well, let's be honest. Okay, and I do get down on parents sometimes when they make it about them because it is about their kids. However, this is a huge milestone. Yes. This is a rite of passage for a parent. I realize that you're not like shuttling Maggie out of your house and into somebody else's house. Maggie's been on her own for a long time. She's a big girl. However, your family is growing.
Yes, exactly.
And I think too, I was just wondering because my daughter and I were talking about her wedding. She's not engaged people, but she has a whole thing of notes in her phone on her wedding. I'm like, when you are engaged, it's going to be really easy to plan this. How much isn't that like kind of an antiquated thing? Like, oh, and the parents pay for the whole thing. Because she was kind of looking at me like, not really. And everything should say, I was like, hey, it's your wedding. You do it. You do. If that's what you want to do, sister, you do it. And you get to decide who's coming and you get to decide all of it. I said, I get about like 10 spots on the guest list. But other than that, because I'm sure I'll be paying for a little bit of it. We'll be paying for a little bit of it. But other
we
than
got
that,
an
I'm
RV
like,
to go from our church to our reception. I hired an RV instead of a limo, and yeah, I paid for that. I did not make my parents pay for the RV because that was not in Linda's wheelhouse.
Yeah,
It'll
it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. But Maggie has started to put a little list together, and she's already decided some of my people, and you'll be happy to know that you both have made the cut.
Oh, we passed the audition.
Yes.
unless she just heard the conversation we had 4 minutes ago.
That's right.
She's crossed. She's got a red pen out.
Right. Sorry, spoke too soon.
Not your wedding, Kristin.
Oh, that's right. But Kristin, you do have some planning of your own that is going to be going on too. What's that all about?
Oh, it's big. So the countdown has begun for the release of the sequel to Worldwide Crush called The Scott Fenwick Diaries. It's coming out on July 22nd. And just like Worldwide Crush was inspired by my crush on Sean Cassidy, The Scott Fenwick Diaries is inspired by my crush on Scott Fenwick. In fifth grade.
Live person.
Grade.
Yes.
And inspired by, I just have to make sure that I say that. Inspired by, that's important. Because there are no real events that actually happened to me and Scott Fenwick. Because what happened between me and Scott Fenwick in real life was nothing. It was zero. Nothing happened. All of these relationships took place solely in my imagination, which is why they become good books. Oh, no, wait. Which is why they become books. I'm a little foreshadowing there. Good books. They're bestsellers. Which is why they become books. However, there is one scene in the book that inadvertently came from my diary in 5th grade. I wrote it, and then I read my diary. I swear to God. And so I'll be filling you in on that later. So I have to tell you, I've been attempting to contact Scott Fenwick and just let him know that there will be a book with his name on it when he goes into bookstores this summer. I've only looked for my Scott Fenwick. I've not looked for all the other Scott Fenwicks in the world because my Scott Fenwick might see this book and he might recognize my name and he might call the FBI. So I just want him to know that I've not been stalking him since 1979. So I was able to find him, the right Scott Fenwick, but my attempts to contact him have really been a failure thus far. Like wrong social media profile, or he can't see my messages because we're not Facebook friends. One of my very savvy friends was able to find his work email, but I got no response from that. It's possible I got caught in a firewall or something. But this week, there was a development. Months ago, I requested to connect with him on LinkedIn. Months ago. And this week, he accepted that request.
I want to
Wow.
cry.
I know.
I want to cry. It's
When you
so
sent us
glorious.
that message, yes, it was just like, I mean, the three of us were just going back and forth. We couldn't believe it.
I know, but I loved Carolyn's response when you just sent listeners. Kristin just sent us the screenshot of the Scott Fenwick has accepted your connect or is connected with you, whatever. And Carolyn just says, "Let the games begin."
So
And I have this grand plan that you're going to connect with him. He's going to be like, "Oh, that is the sweetest thing. Oh my gosh, I'm so flattered." And hey, you're going to be like, "Hey, when we do this event at this bookstore, it'd be so fun if I could say, and here's the real Scott Fenwick."
real Scott
I mean,
Fenwick.
that would be like probably
That is
mortifying.
yeah,
but
that would
he would be
be
like,
fun.
"Oh, I'm game. That's so fun." I don't know. That's my dream.
That's the hope. I just want to make sure he knows that like the book is not about him. It's just inspired by his shiny hair in 5th grade. So I did, now that we're connected on
Shiny
LinkedIn, I can send him a message. So I did send him a message just saying, "Hey, it's me. Do you remember me from 45 years ago?"
My God.
And I have not gotten anything back. But, maybe he doesn't check LinkedIn. Maybe he does it like once every 6 months.
And we're all thinking, and I'm sure most of our listeners are thinking too, this is adorable. This is darling. I would just like to thank you for writing another book, because that just means that my late summer and fall just got a whole lot more fun.
Oh,
So,
they
thanks,
sure
Kristin.
did. They sure did.
Kidding.
So in addition to, the madcap caper to find my 5th grade crush and prove to him that I'm safe and there's no call for the FBI, what's leading up to the release of the Scott Fenwick Diaries is planning for both my book release party in Minneapolis, which listeners can come to. It's open to the public. You can come. And planning for a joint book tour / podcast tour for Carolyn and Michelle and me. We had a great time in April at Anderson's Bookshop in Downers Grove, Illinois, doing our Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret book club. And we think that that will be the template for us to come visit you where you are. We had 50 people for the Margaret Book Club at Anderson's Bookshop, and it was so fun.
And honestly, if you're holding one of these in a bookstore, that's about as many people as you can get. If you had
really
52, we would have had to. We're going to have to take our show on the road to like a theater, a convention hall.
Coliseum.
It was super fun.
Yes, it was great. The three of us really compliment each other, and what I mean compliment, not like tell each other how cute we are all the time and funny, just how we what we offered to the book club.
Good.
No, but it's so
it's
true.
just we all bring our own perspectives, but it really balances, and so it was really fun to have this conversation with other people.
Yeah.
Well,
it
and
really
I mean,
was.
listening to everybody's Margaret moments, but also just their Judy Blume love and how much all of her books meant to them is so fulfilling. I don't know. It's a great way to connect with people, and it's just joyful, and it's such a good way to also promoting the Scott Fenwick Diaries and Worldwide Crush because, and I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, because they're both Kristin's writing style, and y'all who have not read these books, I don't care how old you are, read them, because they're so relatable and real and funny, and she's our Judy Blume, and so it's such a great. Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
It's such a great marriage of conversation and promotion at these events, to be having people come to share their Margaret memories and their Judy Blume feelings, at the same time talking about Worldwide Crush and the Scott Fenwick Diaries, because they're the same type of book. So
it's all about
a
7th grade,
and it's a good segue for us to promote the podcast as well.
Yeah, for sure. And so here's where we could use your help, you the listeners. We're not going to go anywhere where we have no listeners. We're just not, because we want to meet you. And if you have friends who love Margaret, we'd like to meet them too, especially if they're teachers or librarians or middle schoolers or parents of middle schoolers, because those are all the kinds of people who'd like to hear about the Scott Fenwick Diaries also. So if you have a bookstore or a library or a book-friendly venue that would like to host us, and if you have a community of people you'd like to share this event with, please let us know. Consider yourself part of our team, like our ground team. You can help us spread the word. You can send us a message at hello@poppreservationists.com, or send us a DM, or call us on the telephone. No, you can't do that because we don't have a phone number. And if you'd like a signed copy of the book when it comes out, you can order one from the bookstore where I work, which is called Big Hill Books in Minneapolis. And that link will be in our show notes and our newsletter. And it's in my link tree on Instagram.
And all the
if you follow me.
places.
All the places. It's like having a book drop in the summer like this is really great, because this May feels like the end of school. It feels like I'm waiting for something really big and fun to begin. Like summer is coming. Summer is coming.
Yes. And what a great feeling that is, right? Don't you remember at the end of the school year, there was just a different feeling in the air, in our bones, in the carpet, in the school. It was just kind of everywhere, this excited anticipation. But yet, I think, too, there was a tinge, at least for me, I don't know if I'm speaking for myself, just being a little bittersweet, like, saying goodbye.
Yes.
I think more so when I was a teacher, probably, but it was a mix of all of those emotions.
Yeah. I mean, leaving your
Absolutely.
teacher was a big deal. You didn't start disliking your teachers until much later. In the beginning, your teacher was always kind of your idol. And you were saying goodbye to her/him. Remember how you had to return all your library books? That was like a big deal.
what if you couldn't find one of them?
What are you going to do? Are they not going to let you
still
leave?
have Beverly, Mary, Ramona, you have Ramona and Beezus out or whatever. And I'd be like, I don't know where it is.
And your
Because
teacher
I
would make
moved-
you sweep your desks. Like, everybody open your desks. We're looking for library books.
I moved so much that I still probably have several library books from various
probably
libraries
do.
that, they'll be like, oh, just bring it back next fall. And I'm like, okay, mine now, sucker.
See ya.
I bet I'm moving again this summer. I didn't even know, but I'm like, chances are good.
You know what else always happened at the end of the school year, which I want to do this as a whole episode sometime. But at the end of the year, that was oftentimes when the whole school would gather in the gym and like all 500 kids would be sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor to watch a movie.
Yes.
Right?
That's right. So the teachers could
whole
like
school.
be
They
taking
had
their
to do
bulletin boards down.
Yeah, we didn't know that this was on purpose. We thought it was like, oh, you've done such a good job throughout the year, and now we're going to give you this gift of watching a movie. But no, the teachers were, like you said, taking down their bulletin boards, doing their grade books, and it was
Smoking
smoking
in the teachers' lounge in 1976,
Totally.
Yeah.
And
for
there was
sure.
just a handful of movies that all of us watched universally across the nation. And so
Oh,
I want to
absolutely.
gather all of those movies
yes,
that
we
everybody
need to do an
watched in
episode on
the
that.
gym. And
We
there's
should do
one
that,
in
Disney
particular. This is just a little teaser. So when we were at our Free to Be You and Me event, one of our listeners came up to me and she showed me her phone. She said, "Did you watch this in the gym in school when you were a kid?" And I freaked out because not only did I watch that movie, but I brought this movie up to Carolyn and Michelle, and both of them were like, never heard of it. So those of you listening, please raise your hands if you watch the movie Paddle to the Sea. And just know, okay, I'm counting all your hands right now. I'm counting. It's a lot of hands. Okay, so we're going to do an episode on this soon, someday, and we'll feature Paddle to the Sea.
Yes, that would be great.
I'm thinking Disney movies. I'm thinking for us it
A
was
lot of them
always
were
like
Disney.
a Disney movie like Shaggy
With Kurt
DA
Russell,
or something
like an
that.
old one
Yeah.
with Kurt Russell.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. We
Or
always
Dean,
have Heidi.
what was his name? Dean.
Yeah, not Dean Stockwell, but the other
Dean
one.
Jones. Dean Jones.
Dean Jones,
yeah.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Wonder whatever happened
two-
to Dean Jones.
No
Dead or
kidding.
not
I
dead?
mean, dead. Oh, absolutely
Dead. Oh,
dead.
dead. Gotta be
dead.
dead.
Gosh, that sounds horrible. Well, don't you put him like with what's her face, Michelle Lee? She's not dead, is she?
Yes, because they were in Herbie together.
Yeah.
Oh, they were. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I'll have
Fact
to do
checking.
a little research on that.
I'm doing
It'll be
fact
for the
checking
episode.
right now. Yeah. Well, I can tell you that he's dead.
Oh, okay.
was
Rest
quick.
in peace, Dean.
was quick.
Rest
Yeah.
in peace.
It wasn't that long ago. If that makes you feel better.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
Oh,
I'm
because
gonna
he
save
also
it.
did the
I'll
Kenny
save it.
commercial, right? Didn't he do
Yeah,
the
it was-
Kenny commercial?
Oh,
Who's that? Who is
Ken
it?
Berry.
Oh, I get
That
them
was
mixed
Kinder.
up.
Well,
them
okay,
mixed up.
and we have a whole episode on Disney movies, and you guys had this whole same conversation.
Yes,
about
we did.
those
We've
two.
done this. Yes, we have.
And
We've had this
Dean
same
Jones
conversation.
died in 2015, so it wasn't that long ago.
Okay. So, like you just said, Kristen, when we were plopped in the gymnasium to watch an all school movie, there were other things that signaled the end of the school year, and none as time honored as that wonderful end of year tradition of field day. All right. Tell me about your feelings about a field day.
I loved field day. I loved field day. And you guys know I was not athletic at all, but that was the beauty of field day. I didn't have to be. And I'm not sure you guys know this, but you're currently talking to the 1977 Blue Ribbon winner of Swift Elementary's second grade jump rope event.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
nicely done.
Yes,
Thank
round of
you.
applause.
Nicely done. Yep.
I was going to pause,
Nicely
and I
done.
didn't even have to. I can count on you guys for
Mm-hmm.
that. I might have also snagged a blue for hula hooping that year or the next. I don't remember. Because unlike PE, I got to choose. And that was everything to me. No one was making me do the 50-yard dash or the long jump. Although now that I'm talking about it, I think I might have done those things in field day because I thought they were fun if nobody was forcing me or timing me, really. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
you know, they were, but at the same time, it was all for
Just a
fun.
fun day. Right.
Yeah, and that just made all the difference because I could participate in things I felt that I could actually do and I felt confident in. that's why I loved field day. And there's a lot of other reasons, but we're going to get to those later in our conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of other aspects of field day that I remember vividly that I loved that make this such a positive memory and just a spark of joy in my childhood.
Yeah, I remember that agency of getting to pick what events you wanted to be in. Like our teacher would tape down these sheets on desks, and you just went around and you got to sign up. There was maybe a limit or something. And I remember when my best friend Cheryl Zebold, if you're out there, Cheryl, howdy, she and I signed up for the 3-legged race. And we were so excited because I was tall and we were going to have this whole kind of strategy of how my legs could kind of propel us to the, to the
She was
finish
just
line.
going to, actually, you guys, I'm imagining
Cheryl.
you were just going to tie Cheryl's leg up higher. So her foot didn't even hit the ground.
You on her hip, just like a
You're
baby.
just,
You just carry her
lifting
like a
her.
baby.
Carolyn's like, I got you, Cheryl. In fact, it was probably very pointed. Carolyn's looking around like, who's the shortest one in the class? Cheryl.
She was my friend. And I
know.
God damn it, wanted a blue ribbon. So, sometimes you threw all of it to the wind and just thought,
Yeah.
I'm going to get it no matter what.
Did you get it?
I don't remember. I just remember how fun it was. You know what? And that's the other thing. At the end of the day, does it really matter? Maybe.
I don't know,
remember.
depends on who you ask.
Yeah, I guess so. As
But
we'll hear in this
that's the
episode.
goal. The goal is that what you're saying is, does it really matter? Because that's not why I was doing it.
Yeah.
As we'll see coming up, field day is a mixed bag for a lot of people. It's a mixed bag of memories, and that's how it is for me too. I have very mixed emotions about field day. I had one school that was all fun and silliness, like the hula hoop and the jump rope and no competition. And then I had another school that was just gym. It was just more gym.
Oh,
It was
no.
outside
Oh, no.
all day. It was like all day gym. So that's a nightmare. But I will say that I looked forward to the disruption. I looked forward to something different. It was outside. Maybe there were
Yeah.
hot dogs. My only very specific memory of field day is when I won one of the dashes. 150. I don't know which one it was. But I won it.
There's
But
many dashes.
there are so many dashes. But you have to understand, this was a fluke. There was no logical reason for this to have happened. And it messed with my head because I thought maybe I wasn't who I thought I was. Like, maybe, have I been living a lie? Am I really a jock?
I should, and now you're like, I'm going to be a track and field star, Olympian.
Yes, the
We're going to be
cognitive
Olympics.
dissonance was real. It was very real. And even when I crossed the finish line and they said my name, it wasn't joy that I felt.
looking
It was
around
like, what?
There's another Kristin Nielsen.
What? And for a moment, I did consider like changing my whole persona. Like, is there a team where you run? And then
She
maybe I'll
starts
join
wearing-
you?
She starts wearing like a red, white, and blue terry
Like
cloth
Bjorn
headband.
Borg.
Right. Yeah.
I got my Bjorn Borg like terry cloth thing. But truthfully, the only reason that I did the whatever it is dash is because it was the one skill that every kid does just by virtue of being alive, right? When you're a kid, you run to get from point A to point B. I didn't need a special skill. I like throwing or whatever. But then, by the end of the day, I was like, no, I'm a book nerd. It was over.
I do have another specific memory. Our field days were all day, and I have a very specific memory of falling. I was running somewhere, and it wasn't in a dash. I don't think I would have ever signed up for a dash, but I was running, and I fell, and I tore open, you guys, like a 3-inch rectangle on my kneecap. And I mean, I can still remember all the gravel in it, and it was all, which got me sent to the nurse's office for probably, an hour. And I remember crying and being so upset. And I'm quite certain it was because I was missing field day.
Yes.
And then I remember thinking I felt kind of cool when I went back because instead of a Band-Aid, the nurse had put one of those big square gauzy bandages on it.
Oh, that's real. That's
And
like
it
you
was
broke your leg.
It was almost like better than a ribbon because when I went back, I had like this badge of honor. And in hindsight, I'm really hoping that little Michelle was telling people, I was doing the 100-yard dash.
It was a 100-yard
And I was
dash.
crossing the finish line.
That's right.
And it was a
I
photo
dove.
finish.
Yes.
And I arched forward to break the ribbon. I was probably 7.
I was sliding into third.
And I went sliding so far. Anyway, but I do have a memory of that on my knee, and it was and the subsequent scab that came about a week later was just a nightmare, because as you are when you're a child and you like to pick at things.
Just have a moment.
I know,
for
I'm sorry
scabs.
that's gross, but scabs, and when you're like 7 and you have a scab that's like a 3-inch by 2-inch
That's like a
rectangle.
jigsaw
one of
puzzle. Yes,
think
that's
we
a
all had
game.
one of
That's an
those.
activity.
My mom would get so mad at me because I would constantly pick at that scab. And for a long time, I had a big old scar on my knee because I never let the scab heal.
Okay, just think about this. As an adult, when was the last time you had a scab?
I agree.
I had a little one on my pinky last week.
Michelle, from when she fell when her
Oh,
dog.
yeah, you fell down, went boom.
Yeah, my dog, Frankie, pulled me down a few weeks ago, guys, and I just went like in slow motion. In fact, Carolyn would have laughed so hard if she could have seen video of it. But I mean, I went down and I thought I caught myself, but then my toe caught the concrete and I didn't. And you see the concrete coming up and you're like, this isn't happening. And it happened. Yeah.
You guys, it's maybe one of those other things too, like those full circle moments of aging. Like we got a lot of scabs when we were young and just carefree and flinging ourselves here and there. And then we're going to get to an age where we're kind of tripping or walking into things. And now we're going to have scabs on the other end of our lives. Let's just hope we can remember the good old days when we earned our scabs.
During the 100-yard dash.
That's right. Well, just like us, our listeners also had some very specific field day memories. Some were funny, and you guys, some were actually kind of tragic. But one thing was clear. Field day left its mark on you.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh, wasn't that good? And so really, we were kind of split on whether it was something we dreaded or we eagerly anticipated. But we can all agree that this was kind of like an elementary version of Battle of the Network Stars. Don't you think?
Yes.
That was our own little Battle of the Network Stars. Such a fun day.
It is. It was our own Battle of the Network Stars, for sure. Ed Asner was there during the tug-of-war.
And Robert Conrad.
Gabe Kaplan
what do
was...
they call the tug-of-war guy at the end? There's like a name
anchor.
for
Well,
the
I call him
anchor.
anchor.
Lou Grant was the anchor.
Yeah.
Lou Grant
and
or,
Howard Cosell was announcing all the events.
at St.
right?
Anthony Park Elementary School.
Or what's his face? Who was Lou? No, not Lou. Who was the Incredible Hulk?
Oh, Lou
Oh,
Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno. He was the anchor a lot,
Oh,
too.
that's a score. Who was on that network? They're like, we
know.
got the Hulk.
Those people probably were able to do the tug-of-war like I'm going to tell you guys I used to do it coming up soon. Anyway, but yeah, so for many of us, like me, and Carolyn, and sometimes Kristin, there was a palpable excitement and buzzing in the air that whole week, I think, leading up to field day. And I can honestly still pull up that feeling talking about it now, because even when I was prepping for this episode, I was getting like feelings inside me, or smells were coming back, or like a feeling of the hot sun on me. Cause a lot of the times I lived in either Arizona or Texas because, don't forget guys, I went to 6 different schools in my elementary school years alone. So I'm basically a field day connoisseur because I experienced them at lots of different schools. However, almost all of these schools were in either Arizona or Texas. So it was very hot. So I have this feeling of sun and sweat and hot. And also we could bring like $1 and we could buy ice cream or candy or snacks. And I'm remembering that part. That was an enormous thrill. I don't know if it was from like a concession stand or if there was, moms had a table set up, but an ice cream truck. I don't know, but I just have a very, obviously not strong memory, not very vivid memory, but I have a definite memory of the thrill. It was that whole free, I'm not in any kind of class, I'm walking around outside with my friends, that end of the year feeling. Anyway, I dug it hard. And I'm not the only one, because here are I'm not the only one, because some of our followers on social media shared their excitement and shared their exciting memories. MP123 says that she loved field day, getting to miss classes, go outside, play in the spring sunshine. tag football, foursquare, sack races, sack lunches. Field day also meant the end of school was near and summer was just around the corner.
I mean, that has so much to do with it, I think, right? If they had had field day in September, it would not have been the same.
Oh,
No,
not
exactly.
at all.
Yeah.
No, because it did have to tie into this whole freedom feel, I
Yes.
think.
Yes.
And we had a good handful of comments like the next two I'm going to read, but this is so great. So Marissa told us that she loved field day because she went to Catholic school. So this meant I got to wear regular clothes and be out of uniform for the day. And Marvel Ann said getting to wear shorts at school. So that tied into a lot of the good memories of field day were people that went to schools where they wore uniforms, just the freedom of getting to choose your own outfit. Can you imagine the painstaking choice that went into that day? If you got to wear something like that one day in the whole year that you chose.
I can tell you from.
Do I wear my
this-
Mork and Mindy t-shirt? Do I wear my Happy Days t-shirt?
Well, I can speak to it from a high school perspective because we had one day a year at Bishop Eustace Prep where we could wear regular clothes, but we had to buy our opportunity, and it was like a fundraiser for muscular dystrophy or something. But yeah, talk about painstaking. I think we planned the whole year what we were going to wear in this one day. It was everything. So I can totally relate, Marissa, that how fun that was. And also the shorts aspect, because even though I went to school in Texas for elementary school, we could not wear shorts to school like during the regular school year,
That's
which does
sounding
seem a
familiar
little
to me
odd.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Texas
that-
years,
It
I
was
don't think we
special
could.
dispensation. Like you had to wait for the weather report to be really out of hand, or for something like field day when there would be a decree, and the
Yes, a
decree would
decree.
go out that you were allowed to wear shorts.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was big.
Well, Alinka Palinka, I love your Instagram name, Alinka Palinka, says the giant earth ball. And oh my gosh.
Whatever we do. Oh, I remember that.
Yes,
earth ball.
the giant earth ball. And then I'm assuming Alinka Palinka, you're a she, but maybe I'll just say they, said hot dogs, chips, soda in a glass bottle for lunch.
Wow.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. And so the hot dog, did we buy the hot dog? Did the parents cook
I don't
hot
remember
dogs?
hot dogs, but can we just give a little nod to the sack lunch? Okay,
The
you
sack
guys, 'cause
lunch,
this
yeah.
was a sack lunch day for me, which was, I felt so grown up because every other day I was carrying my Holly Hobby lunchbox or whatever to school. Sack lunches were for like the middle schoolers and the high schoolers or
Yep.
the junior high schoolers.
Yep.
And so that whole, just the brown paper bag with my name on it that my mom would write. And then, of course, the aluminum foiled can, sometimes soda. But High C also had cans back then, so it just depended on how
High
free
C.
my mom was feeling at the time. If she was going to go all out and let me have a Sprite. I don't think I ever had a Coke.
'Cause
But,
High
or a
C,
Mr.
like
Pibb.
health
I did have
food.
Mr. Pibb. You'll be glad to know, Kristen.
love Mr.
What
My
about
family
Shasta?
loved Mr. Pibb.
Shasta.
Yeah, that was a good Shasta. Yeah, that
Cream
was kind
soda.
of the blue collar. No, I shouldn't say blue
Yeah,
collar.
it is
That was
generic.
kind
It
of
was
like the-
generic.
it's-
Yeah.
Although they had grape, that was really good. I think
Yeah,
we would have
Shasta
that.
grape was really good.
But
And you
yeah,
wake it
and-
in the foil so it stays cold. Did
Yes,
that work?
yes,
Is
of
that
course.
real?
No.
No.
Yeah, but we all
then-
did it.
We
But
all
it never
did it.
stayed.
Yeah.
It never was
And
like
you had
as
to be
cold
careful
as it was
because my
supposed to be.
mom would put whatever drink, even if it was a soda, in the freezer the night before. So it was like frozen, and then you wrapped it in the foil. And then you sometimes had a slushy, sometimes had this huge explosion on your hands. The High C didn't really explode, though. But yeah, I remember that was always in the freezer the night before. And yeah, and then it kept
Yeah.
our food cold as well because it was still it was icy.
I
Yeah,
love
that's
this
true.
next one. The
Well,
Dory's comment.
Dory Follis Cook gave us 3 memories, great memories she has of field day. And I have to just touch on this first one for a minute. She says, manning the Pepsi dispenser so I wouldn't have to run. Dory, I am with you so hard right there. But it also made me remember at one of my field days, I got to help the teacher. And I don't know if I'm sure I volunteered for this because one, I was always going to volunteer to help the teacher field day or not. But also because it probably meant I got out of
The bad
some
stuff.
of the activities. I still got to go jump rope or hula hoop or foursquare.
But you don't have to do football.
But I definitely have the memories of following my teacher around with a clipboard. So maybe I was recording times or something.
Yes.
So when I read that, so I was like, yes, I had at one of my field days at one of my schools, I got to help the teacher, which is also, my God, little Michelle. She was probably over the moon being able to do that.
Gosh, think
and
if
then
that
Dory,
was the same year that you won the hula hoop and the jump rope. You would have been on cloud 9 for like
can't
months.
even.
No wonder you love field day. And you got a clipboard? Come on.
I can't even imagine. And if my mom was smart, when I got home from school, that was probably the night she had to drop the news that we were going to move for the next school year. So anyway,
That hurts.
Dory also says performing the hukalau. Is that how you would say that? The hukalau?
I'm saying hukalau. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
with
saying.
my 4th grade class, which that's so cute. So I bet that's a dance, or I'm assuming.
No,
like
it's a Hawaiian fishing
Hawaiian.
tradition. It's a fishing thing.
Oh,
So you go
okay.
fishing. How do you perform it?
There must be something rhythmic about it. I didn't do a deep dive, but I did have to know what it was, and it was some sort of Hawaiian fishing, like a net, like a fishing net, and there must be something rhythmic about it.
Dory's listening right now, just going, you guys, she's screaming
She's
at
like,
her
"Shut
device
up,
right
you
now,
guys.
going, you guys,
Stop
you have
it."
no idea what you're talking about. Okay, Dory, DM us and
Dory,
give us
yeah,
the
and
scoop.
maybe do a video of you doing the hukalau
Yes,
and
please.
we'll put it up so
even
everybody
better. Even
we can
better.
educate everyone.
But
And
this
number
next one
3
is so awesome.
It's so great. And the next one is just so 70s field
Yeah.
day. Dory also remembers performing a riveting display involving a giant rainbow parachute to Dreamweaver. I love it. I'm just
Parachute? Come on,
I'm
parachute.
I'm visualizing it in slow-mo. Dreamweaver. And you just see all these kids and the parachute's just going up and down. And maybe there's like a sun ray
Yes.
that comes
Everything's
into the
in
videos.
slow-mo. It's all slow-mo because the parachute is by nature of its existence slow-mo.
That's true. I
Little
love
Gary,
that parachute.
what was his name? Gary Weaver? Gary Wright. Gary Wright.
Gary Wright.
Yeah.
I knew every word to Dreamweaver because I'm sure I've shared this before, but in the Sunday magazine, or it might have been Saturday, in the newspaper, we'd have a thing called Zest. There was like Zest and Parade. Do you guys remember this?
Oh, I
These
remember
would be
both of
like-
these. Yes.
Okay. Well, Zest was another one that we would have because we had two back in the day. You had 2 newspapers. We had the Houston Chronicle and the Houston Post. So one must have had Parade
The
and
Star
one must
and
have
the
had
Tribune. We had the
Zest.
Star and the Tribune.
Yeah. Gosh, those were the days, you guys.
know.
Morning paper, afternoon paper, whatever. I digress. But anyway, every Saturday they would have one song in there where they had all the words to, like the lyrics to a song. And I remember the Dreamweaver week, and I cut it out, and I put it on my bulletin board. I know, and I knew all the words to Dreamweaver. And when it would come on the radio, because I don't even think I had the 45 or anything, but it would come on the radio, I would run, get my little lyrics out, and just belt them out.
I love that.
I
Think of the
believe we
waiting.
can make it through the night.
Oh my God, I love this song. I love it.
It's a good
It's
song.
such a good song.
And you can't, like, you're not going to go out and buy Gary Wright's album, so you did have to just
Yeah.
sit and wait.
Yes. Wonder what happened to Gary. Was he a one-hit wonder? I don't know that I know.
Michelle's going to find out.
Dead or not dead? I can look it right up. No. Let's get back to field day.
Yes. Let's dig into these games a little bit, shall we, you guys?
Yes.
We're going to save tug-of-war till the end. In the meantime, we had some other fun events, some a little more serious than others. I seem to recall some of those like less serious ones, and I was always in on those because I was sure that I was going to be able to win those. Like the 3-legged race I already mentioned. Do you guys remember Egg on a Spoon?
Yes.
Like
oh,
the
yes.
relay?
I love that one.
Well, I
can do
was
that.
going to mention the not the running relays where you have to like run and pass the baton and keep
Yeah.
running another 50 yards or whatever. I loved relays that were goofy, like balancing the egg on a spoon or walking backwards was one, or sideways, or
Or
skipping.
maybe the crab walk. Crab walk was another.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
crab
killed
walk.
at that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Gosh. And you guys, today I want you to know, when I went on a run, I decided the last part when I kind of cooled down and I was walking, I was going to walk like I did when I was in the egg on a spoon race. Because, you kind of waddled.
Yeah.
Because you
Oh,
couldn't
yes,
really
yes.
run or the egg would
had to
fall
be
off.
stable.
So it was this kind of fast, but waddle kind of, but you're holding the thing. And yes, so that's how I
This
waddled
better go
all the
on
way
video
home.
because we're all
Well,
waddling.
I would also, Carolyn, like you tomorrow on your run, to have in your little running pouch an egg and a spoon so that you can actually do it after.
That egg is $3. You don't want
Yeah, I
to
was going to
that.
say, I
Oh,
can't
that's a
afford
good point. One egg,
that.
yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. And some of our followers shared some of their moments that they loved in terms of events. 80s podcast said she loved field day so she could show off at the softball throw. Do you guys remember those?
Yeah,
Yes,
that was
there
not my
was there
wheelhouse.
was
Yeah.
well, there was so much throwing of various sized balls
So much throwing.
during field day. So many balls, so
Did
many
we ever
throws.
throw the earth ball? I almost feel
I
like
don't know.
did
I think
get
we
that?
just all tried to keep it up. We always had to all try to keep it up, the giant
And that's
ball.
the one
like
we played
everybody's-
crab soccer with, I think, was the earth
Oh,
ball.
yes,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
And but I want to follow up on the softball throw. Our follower Tawanda, 1965. This is the comment she left. She said, "Damn that Sue Albee. She always beat my distance throwing a baseball. I could heave with everything I had. Damn, Sue would effortlessly throw, and her ball would land just beyond my yellow marker."
Damn,
Sorry,
Sue.
Tawanda.
You guys, decades later, she remembers first and last name.
She's all
Yes.
salty.
Yes. Oh gosh, fun stuff, and also, a little tragic. Poor Tawanda, so close and yet so far. Oh, that's a song. So close and yet so far. Oh, it's My Eyes Adored You. Is that Neil Sedaka?
My eyes
Yes.
adored
No, it's
you.
Frankie. It's Frankie
Frankie
Valli.
Valli.
Oh, yeah.
Four Seasons.
Don't
I do
never
love Neil
lay that hand
Sedaka.
on you.
Are we ready
I
to
was
go to ribbons?
okay. So I've got one more, but
Okay.
do you guys have any event things you wanted to share?
We've mentioned
Personally?
everything.
Okay. And I want you all to listen to Holly Berry's comment that she left us about an event that she partook in. Partook in? Is that a word?
Participated.
That she participated in on field day. And she says she has a lot of mixed emotions about field day. The one that she remembers the most was 6th grade. She was paired, because they did alphabetical order in her class, she was paired with her good friend Mary for the 3-legged race. I know what that's like, Mary. Or not Mary. I know what that's like, Holly. We were pretty good, she said. We practiced as much as we could before the big day. Probably the first time that Holly felt like she had a chance at getting a ribbon. Here's what she said. But as fate would have it, on field day, we were paired up, alphabetical, with all the 6th grade girls. So I was not with my friend Mary. I got paired with Gloria, and I didn't know her very well, but knew her well enough to know we were not going to win the 6th grade girls' 3-legged race. So with all my might, I hobbled as fast as I could. It sounds familiar. As I could with Gloria tied to me down to that finish line. We came in dead last. I went on to never win a field day ribbon in my whole field day.
Tragic.
Really?
Not Gloria.
I know, Holly. I'm
know
so
what?
sorry.
Gloria and Sue.
Sue.
They
Wherever
should have been
you
paired
are
up.
right now.
Yeah. Damn, Sue.
Dreams were dashed.
Yeah.
They were woven. We weaved our
yes.
dreams, and then they
They
were
dream
dashed.
weaved our dreams in the 100-yard dash. Wait, I
like-
said that wrong. Our 100-yard dash dream weaver was dashed.
I like how Gloria today, Gloria tells the story differently. It's like,
Yes.
man, I got paired when I was in 6th grade field day with this girl named Holly. And we came in dead last and we never won a ribbon. And they blame each other to this
Yep.
day. Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about the ribbons then, shall we? I don't know if you guys know this, but I won a couple of blue ones. Did I mention that?
I think I did hear that somewhere, yeah.
No. But in all seriousness though, isn't it funny how important that must have been to me? So I was going to ask you guys, did you get participation ribbons? Because I remember at my field days, we got place ribbons for 1, 2, and 3, and then everyone else who competed in that event got a participation ribbon. So you did end up with ribbons, but you didn't want, maybe the participation one was yellow. So if you're walking around with a whole bunch of yellow ribbons, like flapping out of
Means
your
you
pocket.
showed up that day.
Yes, that flapping out of your pocket, that was something you showed off when you had them.
Yeah.
Like somehow you tied them on or you had them flap. People knew what you had won. And yes, so you had to have more than just yellow or green or whatever
Yeah.
the participation
Remember, there
ribbon
were
was.
some kids that would walk around holding this giant stack in their hands.
Yes.
And it would be all multicolored, but like Mike Foley can just barely hold on to the big stack in his hand. And I'm just wondering if I'll get one. And then eventually when I did get my one, and it was blue, because, you know, I know you've heard,
Yeah,
I
you
won the
ran
one,
that
some
dash.
dash. It was either 50 or
Yeah.
100 or 90, 10, whatever. And
Well-
and I had my one blue ribbon, and I just hung on my finger, and I was proud. Because I was in awe. I'm like, shit, what? How did this even happen? And but then Mike Foley comes walking by holding his fistfuls of ribbons, and it just puts into stark contrast that there are some haves and have-nots in the athletic ability department here.
Even at age 8.
Even at age 8,
Oh,
yeah.
gosh. And it sticks with us because,
Yeah.
believe it or not, I went down a I went down a Reddit rabbit hole, and there was a whole thread on ribbons from field day. People just still have feelings, and I wanted to read this one because it was kind of funny. In this case, the participation ribbon was green, and this gentleman said, "Don't forget the green one, the participation one you got every single year because you were a fat, unathletic kid and didn't win anything until 6th grade when you get a 3rd place in a 4x4 relay. Fuck yeah!"
And 3rd was white. I remember 3rd place was white.
But
Yes,
see-
yes.
Yeah.
But he's remembering, like, that made
Exactly.
such impact
Yeah.
on him. I know when I asked my sister, I texted my sister and I said, thoughts on field day? You know, we're recording an episode on field day. And immediately the response was, I still have all my ribbons from field day, exclamation point, 100-yard dash, long jump, etc. Somewhere, like with 8 exclamation points. I loved field day, 5 exclamation points. And my sister would have been one of the people. Also, don't forget, because I'm changing school so often, so is she. So, you know, she does have, you know, so also that could have been a good thing because we're mixing up the participants each year, right? We're like, well, last year I came in 3rd, but maybe at this school I'm going to be 1st. My sister would have been the type that would have been winning like a 1st.
Would have
2nd, or
had the
3rd. She was
fistfuls.
way more athletic and she was a fast runner.
But that guy,
Well, let's just
like
say, wait, she's faster than me. So
Oh, okay.
in
She's
my
fastish.
memory, she was a fast
all
runner. But all
relative.
that
It's
means
all
is that she was
relative.
faster than little Michelle. Yeah.
But that one guy on Reddit who gets that one ribbon that one time is like, I'm a person.
Yes.
Right? Like you get,
Yes.
I exist.
Exactly.
It's just like a big
And
spotlight
how
is
we-
finally being shown on you.
Yes, our identities, how we kind of constructed those when we were young. And I was always the wannabe. It was like I wanted the stack of the ribbons. And if I only had one blue, that was going to be on the top of my stack. People were going to think I had a lot more blue. But
Oh, definitely.
yes, but you know, it validated you. The more ribbons you had, the better person you were.
Yeah. I'm more deserving of being on this earth than you.
How awful. It started so young.
I know. It is.
So young.
Okay. Are we
okay,
moving
let's
to
go.
the
Yeah, let's go
Yeah,
to
okay.
Kristen's part. Not even that. Yeah.
So not even the allure of ribbons could make field day tolerable for some of our followers. We actually had more comments. We had more comments from folks who despised field day than those who relished it. And I get you. I see you. I totally understand that because Mike Foley's walking around with his fist full of ribbons like he's so much better than you. And we had some great comments from people. Philebutant, that's a great name. Philebutant said, dread, in all caps. Any forced sports-based activity filled me with such anxiety the entirety of my childhood. Because she didn't have
same.
a fistful of ribbons.
Same, but any forced athletic or team-based activity still gives me that tight, anxious feeling. But like I said
Yes.
earlier, at least at my field days, but it's sounding like a lot of people's were organized differently.
Yeah.
And I think all of mine, we had, like you said, Carolyn, I had the agency. I got to choose. I only want to do 2 today. Or maybe maybe the one that I was the teacher's helper was more like one where it was like, well, the only things are these track and field events, Michelle. So, you know, and I'm going to hold that clipboard. Yeah.
So Jill Casaria, she says, I dreaded field day. It was always too hot and too competitive. I get sunburned on my face and my arms, and I get rope burn on my hands from tug-of-war. The only part I enjoyed were the popsicles at the end.
That's fair.
And you can see where that would be a big thing to look forward to. It's like popsicle day.
Yes, there was always some fun kind of food
Yes.
that you didn't normally get associated with it. But again, the Texas heat, I just kind of remember, I think we would be popsicles too, and you'd be eating them like you kind of stuck
to,
your
like,
head
lean
out
over.
like that, and they'd be dripping like the red, whatever. But yeah, you had to like be an
And like
Everybody's
hold
got,
it
like-
sideways.
Yes.
If you held it
Yes,
straight
sideways.
up, if you held it up, it all dripped down the stick down your
Yeah.
hand. So you always had to hold it sideways and like
sideways.
And then sometimes it'd get so mushy you'd bite it, and then it would all just fall
the
off the
whole
stick
thing
on
would
the
come
ground.
crashing
And
down.
everybody's walking around with different colored like drips down the front of their shirt. Like somebody's got green drips, somebody else has got orange
Yeah.
drips.
Yes.
So Sandra Sunnyside says, wandering around avoiding teachers so I could avoid participating. And there's more than one person who was like, yeah, ditto. Me too.
Yeah.
Like, how can I just hide? How can I carry a clipboard? Can I carry a clipboard
Yeah.
so I don't have to run? And Jill Evans McGuire says, hated field days because they made us play sports. I was a dancer and sports were not my thing. I was the kid doing cartwheels in the outfield. Same. Just let me stay out here and do cartwheels.
I was going to share, I read, again, on the Reddit thread, people, again, had strong feelings about field day, and somebody who did not like it said that there was just the humiliation of coming in last for everything. And then she said, to paraphrase Charlie Brown, I already know that I stink at sports. Why do we have to have a whole day to emphasize it?
Oh, God. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, my God, that hurts.
Wah.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Why do I have to have a whole
totally.
day to emphasize it? Oh,
Yikes, I know. But tug-of-war, I think that was fun for everybody. Don't you
because
think?
that
It
was more
was,
like
yeah.
a spectator sport. This
Well, it
was
was,
something
yeah.
you were
yelling
like,
like, pull,
yes,
pull, pull.
yes. And you
Well,
had a team
yeah.
to root for.
Yeah.
I want to go on record right now admitting I faked it so hard during the class versus class tug of wars. Like I'd put my hands on the rope, but I wouldn't really like grasp it because it would hurt my little tiny delicate hands. And, y'all, I needed those hands to jump rope, right?
Yes,
like
to do
so
cartwheels.
I would just kind of like, so I wouldn't.
I
actually
am
pull.
so upset with you right now. I don't even have words.
Oh my God, I'm
could you
so
do
proud
that?
of her.
Also, do you really
your
think?
team?
No. Understand? Doesn't matter. Understand? Little Michelle had zero strength,
She brings
negative
nothing
strength,
to the table.
but
Yeah.
brought nothing to. So not actually participating by pulling was not going to hurt my team at all. In fact, it probably would have hurt my team. It
She
wasn't gonna-
already did this calculus. She's
had
like,
I
okay, for me
actually
to not
grasped
do
and
this.
pulled, I probably would have done it something wrong, or because of my negative strength, that would have made us lose. I don't even know, but I would
was
act like
pushing.
I would do really good. Like
You wouldn't be one of those people that kind of fell down.
Yes,
They're
yes,
just
when they
kind
hit
of
the
being
ground.
drugged.
Yes.
'cause they can't get back
Yeah.
up, and you just
Yeah, I
drag them
didn't-
along.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
didn't do
gosh.
it. But our friend Susie Dilling Street said the kids who were good at sports, not me, she said makes that distinction, had yet another chance to show that they were good. I was fascinated by the tug of war. The whole thing could have been tug of war, as far as I'm concerned. Like,
Yeah, and
the whole
that's true
field day
because that was
experience
more-
came down to tug of war.
That was less sports and more like circus sideshow. And so it was much more fun for me. And like the whole school would surround the tug of war.
Yes, yes.
The rest of field day, in my recollection, is you had lots of different events going on at once, but not the tug of war.
Right.
And do you
Oh,
do you
yeah.
remember when you found out it was tug of war? And I was like, no, it's tug
Yeah,
of war.
not tug of war.
Yes.
It's
No,
tug of war.
It's tug of war. It'll
tug of
always
war.
be.
Well, it's sort of like Battle of the
TGAWA.
Network
Yeah.
Stars. It was like in
Yes.
Battle of the Network Stars. That
Yes.
was the event that everybody was watching.
And remember, like there'd
Took
be
place.
that little like ribbon hanging down or little
Oh,
flag or
yes.
something.
Yeah.
And when it crossed a certain line, that's when you won. And it would get really close, but then all of a sudden the other team would pull and it would come back and you were all screaming, pull, pull,
Yes.
pull.
And then
Oh,
somebody
that
would
was-
get the strategy of like going, heave.
Oh, yeah,
and they'd
that's
start.
right.
Remember, they would get some
Yes.
rhythm, and the other team is just like, we don't know how to respond to that.
And then once the other team kind of gives up, they all just kind of come tumbling forward. Like all of a
Oh,
sudden,
yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
easy to pull.
Did you ever have where the teachers did tug of war?
Yes,
It was
that was
two
exciting.
teams of teachers. Mhm.
Yes.
Very
when the
exciting.
teachers were real people again, those
Yeah.
were always fun days.
When your teachers got in the dirt, that was a good day.
Well, I have got to read to you guys perhaps what is the most tragic yet exciting story comment that we might have ever gotten. And this comes from Laura Deal, and it has to do with field day and tug-of-war. Okay, here we go. Laura says, I know we had many field days, but I only remember one. I was in 5th grade. We were playing tug-of-war, and one of my classmates started yelling incoherently and hitting people. Now, he was an eccentric kid, but not violent, so I ran over to see what was up. So I ran over to see what was up, and I noticed that his younger brother, who was at the end, so like the anchor, he was at the end of the rope and he was on the ground, and he had tied the rope around his waist and used a slip knot, and it was tightening, and he couldn't get it untied. For better or worse, I have the voice that carries. So I yelled at the top of my lungs in my most serious voice, everyone stop pulling now. You are killing Alan. So basically, I saved his life and I am a hero. The teacher in charge, in quotation marks, of the tug-of-war who hadn't noticed that someone was literally dying gave me the blue ribbon and yelled at all the kids who hadn't noticed the thing that she hadn't noticed, even though she had a much better vantage point and she was supposedly a responsible adult. I almost had the ribbon taken away from me when I said something snarky in defense of the other kids because they weren't in quotation marks, they weren't the ones being paid to keep us safe. She knew me well enough that if she had taken my ribbon away, I would have explained to the principal what had happened, and my mom, who was the VP of the PTA, so she knew that I could cause problems for teachers if I wanted to. I'm not athletic to this day in the least, so it was the only time I won anything on field day. If only being loud and bossy was an Olympic event.
Loud and
won the
bossy. How about
life-saving
being
ribbon.
a lifesaver?
I
He was
know.
getting basically squeezed into. He was
Can
getting
you
like,
imagine?
Oh,
But you know, you probably thought of that because you were tied around. Like Lou Ferrigno did have the rope tied around his waist, but not in a slip knot.
oh my God. I was reacting as if it was happening in real time. Like,
Well,
oh my God, he's gonna die.
Oh, traumatic. Poor Alan. What do you think
Oh,
he thinks
Alan,
up till this
you're
day?
killing
I
Alan.
wonder if he has a scar. Talk about rope burns.
Oh my God.
Goodness, poor Alan.
oh my God.
Okay, how do I recover from that now?
Well, how did he not have internal injuries?
Right? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, field day, the drama of field day, oftentimes culminated with the year. Come on, Kristen. Okay. So, the drama of field day, clearly so much drama on field day, oftentimes culminated with the passing out of yearbooks. And then the frenzy commenced of the signing of the yearbooks. And I have to tell you that I just did a deep dive on my yearbooks from 7th grade until I graduated. And this is so interesting. I highly recommend it for everybody. It reveals so much about who you were at each stage of your development, especially when you go all the way through from when you were 12 to when you were 18. You are like 5 different people in that period of time. And it says so much about the culture, about being a teenager. And so we had this great conversation about our yearbooks and reading all the things that we wrote in our yearbooks. And you guys, it took up so much time that we've decided to package it as its own episode and bring that to you next week. Because the end of the school year is nigh. And we're celebrating
It is. And like you said, when you go back to your old yearbooks and see what, because we don't get to see what we wrote in other people's yearbooks.
No, wouldn't
it's
that be
what
fun?
people wrote to us. And there's all these little Easter eggs and tidbits that tell us how our friends saw us or what we did. And it's so much fun.
Yes.
And total Husker Du moments too that you'll totally forget you were even a part of, and then you'd be like, whoop, sucked back in that time machine.
People you forgot, people that you thought were periphery people, but it turns out maybe you were best friends.
Right.
And you just,
I know.
But it was only for a semester. Like you were so close just during Earth Science, and you just didn't remember.
And you forgot, but that's huge though, because don't
It's
you,
huge.
you know, you were good friends with those people during 4th
Yes.
period or something. Yeah.
Yes.
I feel so sad that I no longer have a last day of school. I just have to tell you, I'm very bereft about that. I'm jealous of all of you who are teachers who still get a last day of school. Sometimes when I see the kids in my neighborhood running home with like papers flying out of their backpacks, I know it's the last day of school. And I'm like, everybody get in the car. We're going to Dairy Queen. Like, even though there's nobody in my house who has the last day of school, we're going to Dairy Queen because I want to celebrate. These are important rites of passage. And when you're an adult with grown children, we're pretty low on rites of passage. And the passage of time is just very hard for us to measure when you're at this stage of our lives.
I think because, like you said, when we don't have people in our house anymore celebrating the last day of school, this time of year, there used to just be this feeling you would get.
Yes.
It's almost like you could taste it, or you could.
Yes.
And I had it maybe the first or second year after my kids were out of school, but that's been so long ago now that I don't have it at all anymore. And sometimes I kind of forget.
You don't know what time of year it is.
Yeah.
No.
Where am I? Is it December? Is it May? You don't have
I know.
any idea.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And can we just say that the ultimate, not the penultimate, the ultimate last day of school for all of us from this generation is that scene in Greece with the carnival. And everybody wants to have the carnival. And there is a town in Illinois, it's a suburb of Chicago called Naperville. I used to live there many years ago. And they had something back then, I hope they still have it now, called Last Fling. And it is a carnival on or around the last day of school. And I remember going to this as an adult and just being like, thank you, Naperville. Thank you, Naperville. Thank you for giving me my Greece experience, because this is what everybody dreams about. Everybody wants to ride the Ferris wheel on the last day of school.
Yeah. And
That would
fly
be
off in a
magic.
car.
Yes, and fly off in a magic car. Not. That's the only bad thing about that movie. You know what? We've lost this rite of passage unless you live in Naperville, Illinois, but it doesn't have to be that way. We can still celebrate the turning of a new chapter. We can celebrate the annual arrival of summer, right? Even if you still have to get up and go to work every day, summer is still different. It just is. Right? We're a little more relaxed. We might go home early on Fridays. We go for walks at night. We sit out after dark. We eat a lot more ice cream. That's something for us to celebrate. That's a turning of the page. So I suggest you start a new rite of passage by getting out your yearbooks and inviting your friends over. Maybe do a balloon toss or a three-legged race or the egg in the spoon relay. You can throw something at something and then have popsicles. And then
Some
go
kind
to
of ball.
Dairy Queen. There's got to be some kind of ball.
And
then-
ribbons for everyone.
Yes, everybody gets a ribbon. And then you can do a round robin of like reading your yearbook entries. You all take turns. And then you go to Dairy Queen. Everybody gets in the car and goes to Dairy Queen.
I'm there.
Yes,
I
please.
want to go. Yeah.
We get a rite of passage too. And this is a way of honoring all the last days of school that you have had in your entire lifetime and bringing them into your present. Thank you so much for listening today, and we will see you next time.
And would like to give a special shout out to some of our patrons. Thank you so much to Diane and Sherry, Mike, Christina, Tracy, Stella, JS, Jennifer, Erica, Lisa, Natalie, and Nina.
Thank you so much to all of our patrons in the patrons.
Painters?
Thank you so much to all of our patrons. In the meantime, let's raise our glasses for a toast, courtesy of the cast of Three's Company. To good times.
2 happy days.
To Little House on the Prairie. Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy last day of school.